Today I'm joined by Oleksa, and Oleksa is an Anglo-Ukrainian who came across to England at the age of 7 years old. And there's so much about you that I find fascinating. Mm-hmm. You are an entrepreneur, you're in charge of Network UA, which is an organisation you founded, which we'll get more into later on. But to start off with, tell us a little bit about yourself, or growing up in Ukraine and then coming across in that journey.
So my full name is Oleksandr Galka.
Alexander Galka.
In Ukrainian would mean Oleksandr Halka or Sasha Halka.
Okay.
I never knew my name was, when I came to UK, I had to translate my name from Sasha to Oleksandr.
Okay.
So I call myself Alexander, even though I had a choice to call myself Alexander.
Yes.
I never knew my name was fully Oleksandr until we got the papers here and we went to Ukraine for the first time in 2005.
Oh,
and
wow.
I saw my birth certificate. And
Yes.
it said Oleksandr. I was like, wow, so all this time my name is Oleksandr, it's not Sasha.
Even that just in itself sounds quite, I think, fascinating in the fact that your name is your name, but until you didn't realise your name was name you thought was your name actually wasn't your name.
No, yeah, because my parents translated my name from Sasha to Alexander, because Alexander or Alexander in Greek, in Ukrainian or Eastern European or Russian is Sasha.
Okay.
And obviously when you say Sasha here, it's usually associated as a woman's name here.
I understand,
as we
yes.
So yeah, a little bit about myself. I was born in Ukraine in 91, June the 29th actually. I'm Cancer. I was born in June 91. Life was difficult. I remember the way my mom says. Soviet Union broke down.
Okay.
I remember when you go to your shop, there's nothing there, no soap, nothing.
No bread, no
milk.
milk.
Massive, huge queues.
I understand.
A year later, two of my brothers were born.
Yes. Were they twins?
Twins, yeah.
Twins, yes.
Twins, but not identical. Life was even harder then. Now my mom's got 3 kids, myself and 2 of my brothers. And I think at the age of 5, I remember my parents started traveling. I mean, traveling as in they went to Greece, started earning money.
So they were travelling for work, they weren't travelling for holidays or for fun or anything. They were travelling for work.
I do remember my childhood being enjoyable. I loved my childhood because where we used to live in a village.
Yes. Which part of Ukraine?
We're in the west side part of the Ukraine.
And that's the side closer to Poland, the Polish border.
Yeah. And how can I say, one thing I do remember is that my parents used to travel quite a lot, and they used to leave us with our grandparents.
Okay.
And it felt abandonment, if you know,
really?
in a bit. Yeah, I guess that's why what I'm doing right now for the Ukrainian community.
Yes. We'll touch on that a little bit
later on.
So you sort of kind of grew up. Parents were travelling, and you were still on the west side of Ukraine.
Yeah, west side of Ukraine. My parents were traveling. I remember every week they would send us, we call them immigration bags.
Yes.
You know, they come in different colors. You find them in markets, and they used to send us loads of sweets and so forth.
Oh, see.
All these Western, you could say, toys that in those times, for Ukraine, it was fascinating, man. You know, having all the Western goods coming to...
And when you say Western, kind of like toys
or
sweets? Okay,
sweets,
yes.
toys, what do you call it? You know, Sainsbury's bars. You know, you got common multi-packs and
yes,
stuff.
Yes.
Not like singles and so forth.
That's incredible. Or kind of that perspective, or for the English audience watching this, if you want a chocolate bar or a bag of sweets, you can just go to Tesco's or Sainsbury's or somewhere. So that was at different times.
Yeah, Martin. And as you know, what my grandparents, where we used to live in the village, we had loads of acres of land.
Yes.
Farm animals. We had cows, we had chickens, all the house thing. We had cats, dogs. The one thing, I think the only animal we never had is a horse.
Okay. Yeah. You almost had a zoo.
Yeah, almost a zoo. I wish we had horses, because they would use horses for more like transportation back then. If you couldn't afford a car, a vehicle, then you get a horse. But yeah, we had all that, and we lived poor, man. I can't believe it. Sometimes you say to yourself, when you have all their lands and so forth, you should be rich, you should be wealthy. But in fact, we lived poor. So anyways, my parents started traveling overseas.
They got to see a different perspective, a different world.
Yeah, Greece, and they came back. I remember they came back and they bought everything. They bought gates around the house. They made a well, so it comes a bit closer. They made under heating as well. We never had under heating. We never even had radiators. It was freezing, and obviously, eventually, money runs out.
Yes,
and my dad decides to go to UK.
Okay, and how old are you at this point?
I think I was 5.
5,
or maybe 6. 5. I think 5.
5. Yes.
Because he was here 2 years already when we arrived.
Yes.
And so yeah, I think he leaves in year 1996. Yeah, he lives in 1996. I think he leaves, and then he takes my mum.
Yes.
Afterwards, my mum stays for 6 months. He leaves us with our grandparents.
Yep.
And this is where I felt abandonment, because my mum and dad weren't there when my grandparents looked after us, and my grandparents weren't really nice to me, to be honest. I think beat me, strict was very difficult. Plus my education wasn't the best, because I was every time a teacher would give me a mark, she'll put it low, and I was afraid to bring the book to school to my grandparents, so I'd hide it. Hide it under trees, whatever the case, grass, doesn't matter. Yeah, I was afraid. Yeah.
And just talk a little bit about the school. With the schools, I take it they were schools run by the government or private schools, or what was the school? Just
I think
in like a few words, just describe what so we can kind of picture.
Martin, I think they were governed by the government. I wouldn't know, because I was still young. I wouldn't know. But I still remember if you misbehaved in school, you would get a little beating from the teacher.
You would get. Okay. It was quite.
Yeah, either you get beaten or you got your fingers at the front and then just hit you.
Smacked. And what sort of subjects were like? I take it. I say maths and English, but kind of maths and some form of
maths, Ukrainian. I was young. I was in year 1, so
okay.
I wouldn't remember. Early stages, because when I left Ukraine in '98, I was 7.
Yes.
I left 2 weeks in. Yes, year 2.
Yes.
And I remember this clearly. A car arrived. My mom came back now, and my mom says, "We are leaving," and it felt a very different leave, because we hugged our grandma, and then the car took us to another granddad. We hugged them, but the hugs were long. You hug them for long. Yeah.
Yes.
Even then, when I was a child, it's amazing that you can still know when you hug someone for a long time. You realize that.
Interesting. Had you been told you were moving to?
No, my mom only told me that you're gonna go and see your dad soon. I was afraid of my dad, because my dad. Last time I remember when he left, he used a belt to whip me, for misbehavior. So I remember that I was always afraid of my dad.
Of your dad. But your mum told you were going to see your dad, and that obviously meant you were coming to
UK. I didn't know we were coming to UK, man. We were wild. Me and my brothers were wild. We got to Poland.
Yes. So you got out. You were on Ukraine,
the train. No, we got on a car. On a car drive. We drove. Man, we drove 16. I think 3 days or 2 days. I don't remember. We get to Poland. We stayed in a hotel. For the first time in my life, I seen escalators.
Yes.
For the first time, I'm seeing massive planes. We were wild. I mean, sometimes you see this on social media where you have kids these days doing this, and then they got on the other side thing. This is what the kids are doing now. Look what I did now. It's the same thing.
It's the same. Okay.
Anyways, we finally get on a plane, and I don't know if you remember this, Martin, but there was a time in a plane where they used to allow kids to see their captain.
Yes, the pilots. Yes,
the pilot. And then obviously then they stopped it. I don't know when it stopped, but we had the opportunity to see the pilot. Now the reason why we got to see the pilot is because we were screaming on a plane, because when it goes in a high altitude, your ear starts hurting.
Yes.
And they gave us chewing gum, but nothing. And the stewardess comes into us, and it was an English stewardess. They were so kind. I didn't understand the language.
Oh, so you didn't know English? Okay.
I didn't. My mom knows tiny bits.
Tiny bits, but the stewardess was looking after
Yeah,
you.
yeah. She was so nice, so kind, and it was even then as a kid, you can tell the difference between the Ukrainian mentality and the English mentality. I was a kid. I didn't know much.
Yes,
But she was so very nice and delicate. And I think that niceness that I wish my parents gave to me when I was there, a stranger
yes,
showed. Anyways, we arrived to UK. My dad meets us. I remember this clear day. It was still like UK. You know, London, you got the cloudy weather.
yes.
He meets us. We get in a taxi, a black taxi. Obviously, a black taxi for me doesn't mean anything.
No.
As a kid, but for older, I mean, now Ukrainians, even now, they're like, wow, the black taxi. It's like a classic in London.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember I never liked school in Ukraine, and my dad meets me and he's like, okay, your life starts here. Just to let you know, you guys are going to go to school. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm going to go to school. I don't want to go to school. But anyways, I had to go to school. School for me in UK was tough, man. The first 2 years was hard.
That's interesting. So just let's touch on, so you come to England, your dad says you're going to school. And then what's like the first, you didn't obviously know, you didn't know English at this point. You get chucked into school. How long after you get to England? A couple of days or like a week or?
Man, I got into school after 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
We moved into Muswell Hill.
Okay.
A good area. Loved it. Highgate. Loved the area. And I used to go to a school called Coldful Primary School.
Yes.
And I got thrown in, and my first teacher was Indian.
Okay.
I've never seen an Indian person before.
Wow.
I've never seen black people in my life before.
Yes.
And I couldn't speak English at all. So I used to call people oi, oi, oi.
Oi.
And then one guy, his name is Michael, a black guy. I used to call him Mikhail, because I couldn't say Michael, and there's Michael. There's no Michael in Ukrainian language.
Yes.
So I would call him Mikhail, and I would say Mikhail. We were playing football, like kids. Mikhail, and he stopped me one day, and he said, my name, and he was pointing fingers. He said, my name is not Mikhail, whatever you think I am. My name is Michael. And he kept on repeating, Michael. And I remember, and then when I was playing football again, I said, Michael. The only person I call is Michael.
Is Michael.
Michael. So it took a little while. When I got into school, so remember I left for year 2 in Ukraine. In here in UK, they put me straight to level 3.
Okay.
So a year above.
Yes.
And I remember we used to sit in school, cross legs. That was new for me.
Okay.
Uniform was very different. That was new for me as well. School dinners, that was completely new for me as well.
Yes.
Picking up from school, that was new for me. And also homework. I remember they used to give us only a sheet of paper.
What was it like in Ukraine? Was it like
bags
of homework?
Bags of homework. Your bag would be every 5-10 kilos.
And you're only in year 2 at this point. Yeah, so you've got bags. Okay, so you come across, you know Michael, and you've got less homework than what you used to.
Yeah, and there was kids. There were different nationalities. It was a shock for me.
Yes.
Because remember, I didn't come from a city. I came from a village, and I was like, wow, so many nationalities. But when you're a kid, you don't care, you don't care about that point. But it was an interesting experience, especially in Coldful, in Highgate. And then because of my mom's status,
yes,
my mom, I think she went into asylum seeker or so forth.
Okay.
Yeah, asylum seeker. And then we had to move from Muswell Hill, Highgate. We had to move to Tottenham.
Okay.
And I remember at school, when I went to school and I said, I'm moving. I couldn't speak English properly still. I'm moving. I was in year 4. And I remember a guy called Baxter. He used to be kind of bullied to me.
Yes.
Because I couldn't speak properly, whatever. And I said to him, I'm moving to Tottenham. And he's like, oh, Tottenham, that's a bad area. I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know. Anyways, I was proud. I was like, I'm moving to a new thing. Anyways, when we moved to Tottenham, I was still in year 4. I moved to Tottenham, settled down there. Tottenham was a very different area than Muswell Hill. Very different area. It was more concentrated with black Turks majority. You're talking about 20 something years ago.
Yes.
Now things are a lot to have changed, but then it was mostly blacks and Turks. I think we were the first, maybe Eastern European, Ukrainian family that moved into that area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And how was that? Kind of you're moving into the area. That's interesting. So you move into a new area, and you sort of almost have to get resettled again.
Resettled, yes, again. Obviously, a council property, asylum seekers. My mum, we used to get packed lunch now as well from the government.
Oh wow! And did you? That's an interest, and sort of that almost that as you say, the status of asylum seeker or refugee. How does that make you? Because in your own country, in Ukraine, you're a citizen of Ukraine. You've grown up in Ukraine. Your family worked in Ukraine. You've got grandparents in Ukraine. Then all of a sudden you come across to England, and you've got you're titled an asylum seeker, a refugee. How does that make you?
I was embarrassed.
How does that make you feel?
When I was in school, I saw other people, kids, even poorer than me.
Yes.
People coming from Africa, all these countries, war-torn countries, and they were poorer than me. And when people say asylum seeker, even then I was embarrassed. I said no, and I remember my mom said, "No, say you're an asylum seeker. In school, tick those boxes. You get free school meal." And I used to be so embarrassed. I never wanted to call myself an asylum seeker or an immigrant.
Immigrant, okay.
Now, of course, it's a different story. I don't see there's nothing wrong to call yourself an immigrant. I think in a way you have to be proud because there's a lot of things immigration brings to this country, of course.
Yes.
But then I never really liked it because it was also, you don't want to be micked around or bullied from your kids, peer pressure as well at school. You're talking about primary, and if you go to secondary school, that's another different level. But yeah, my mom used to say, click those boxes that we're immigrants and everything. My mom, I don't know, my mom was like, just say you're proud.
Yes.
We never. So yeah, school was a bit difficult. School in general just was difficult for me. I found school very difficult for me. It's not. I never found to find friends hard. The good thing about Tottenham was a lot of the people were in the same status as us.
Okay.
From different nationalities.
You had the kind of the unity almost.
Yeah, and we did kind of blend in. Black, white, doesn't matter. We kind of, because we were the same, you could just say status. We understood each other more. If you know what I mean, we could integrate it. The one thing I wish when I was younger, when I came to UK, I seen black people with black people. I seen Asians with Asians. I saw English with English. I saw other nationalities like Turkish with Turkish.
Yes.
With other nationalities, and I wish I wanted that community. I wanted have my own a pack of boys or pack of girls. I wanted that, but I never had it. So I had to integrate with other nationalities.
Yes.
As you listen to this podcast, I don't speak full proper English. I have slang. Yeah. I use slang because I grew up among black people, and I was listening to how they were speaking. In reality, we are kids and adults. We are lazy. We will pick up what the most easiest thing is. Well, we start catching. We think we're going to use that.
What's the easiest word to pronounce, or what's the easiest name, or the easiest way to say something?
Exactly, yes. And you don't even realize it. And then I picked up the slang, and I used to come to home, and my dad's like, "What language is that? That's not English. You're using all these other words." I remember I used to go home to my dad and I said, "Dad, that is wicked." My dad said, "What do you mean that's wicked? That's a terrible word. You can't use that."
Yeah, that's it. It's a curse word.
We said, "Dad, you're a dinosaur, man. You live in dinosaur era, ancient times. Dad, you have to evolve."
That's interesting. And with that kind of thing, with the educational way, you were sort of saying you wanted your own community almost, or when you were in school, and it was one kind of my relatability. I moved around schools quite a lot when I was growing up, and you kind of get put into a new school, and you almost have that kind of for myself personally, you always felt like instinctively you weren't like understood, or you knew 90% of what was going on, but you didn't know the other 10%. And because you didn't know that other 10%, you didn't feel like you were fully you couldn't relax. You didn't know everything fully, if that makes sense. Did you have similar feelings?
Same. Same. I just wish we had the community, because even my dad and my parents were looking for community as well.
Yes.
And what did they do? They used to travel far to get the community, and the community that I was traveling before, Soviet Union had 15 different republics when it broke down. So when my dad then met someone who speaks Russian, for them would be, oh wow, someone can speak our own language, great, wonderful. Let's contact, let's keep the connection going. Obviously now it's different, you know. You got people kind of separate themselves because of all these borders, but then there was no borders. Russian, Lithuanian, Polish, then they could get together and speak and so forth, because there was a very small, minute community.
Yes.
You know, and they usually, where would they usually meet? Would be the church. Church would be the first thing to go, even though if you want religion, you have to go there to get the community going.
Yes, a church is a good starting point, actually,
to any community. And so my dad was trying to find himself, because when my parents came here, if I was 7, my parents came here when they were late 20s.
Oh wow, okay.
So 29, 28. And there's a saying in Ukraine, which my parents always say to me, is that your golden years are from your childhood to your teenagehood. So whenever you're somewhere, you know, sometimes you're daydreaming or you're thinking of something, you're always thinking about your childhood.
Yes, okay.
Always. So these are your golden years. So if you lived your golden years in a different country, and now you're living in a different country even for a long time, your golden years will pull you back.
That detachment or attachment to that. That's interesting. So you naturally you progressed through school, you finished school. You're 16, 17, 18. I take it you just start So 17 I started working.
And what were you doing? I was doing a bit of everything, like a handyman. I was working for an Englishman.
Okay.
He had 2 different dogs. He paid me cash in hand. He taught me how to do certain things, not holding a a hammer. Certain things around the house.
Sort of like a building on a building site. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I did that for the summer holidays.
Yes.
And then I went to college. I studied acting. I've always liked the creativity
really?
side. I hated maths with passion. Never liked maths thing. English was my second. I never really liked English as well. Literature, I found it really difficult, but I loved anything to do with arts. I loved arts. Anything to do with, apart from maths and English, science I was okay. I loved geography, by the way.
Okay.
I loved history. I used to read a lot. My dad used to buy a lot of books to us. He said, learn from history, because from history you can learn what the future can hold for us as well.
It's interesting. Yeah, I can relate to that.
And also my dad became, because of, I guess, a community side as well, he became a Jehovah's Witness in this country as well.
Okay.
So he kind of taught us with the Bible thing as well. So I think someone that read the Bible, you start loving history as well at the same time.
Yes.
So we knew these empires. Anyway, I'm glad that I have read the Bible with my dad and learned a lot of things, because there's certain things that still installed in me with values and understanding, even key principle when it comes to time management, finances, investment, and so forth. All these little things come from the Bible. A lot of the books that we read now as well, the sources come from the original book, even though authors will never try to say that where it's coming from, even though it's been twisted in certain words and so forth. But yeah, I was a lover of history, geography, drama. I used to love drama. Anything to do with acting, stage, I used to love
that presence on stage and things like.
I think it's because, like I said again, because of the abandonment, I wanted to feel important, and if I couldn't get it from my parents, I could get it from other people. That
sense of community. I think the sense of community is quite interesting because interesting.
Because when I went to school, man, I never had Ukrainian friends.
No,
I didn't have anyone from Eastern Europe. No one from Eastern Europe until I was in year 9. I was 15 years old, and this is when the immigration started with the Polish,
yes,
Lithuanians and Latvians. They started slowly coming in. I remember I was in year 10 then, and we had one Polish guy called Jakub came in, and then 2 weeks later we had another guy called Stefan in the thing. And I said, do you speak Russian? I said, no, it's just a tiny few words, but their parents knew.
Okay.
Majority of Polish people would refuse to speak Russian because they don't like Russian just in general because of the history and so forth. But a lot of the older generation Polish, they understand Russian.
I understand.
So when I met them and I brought my parents with me, my mom and dad, they will switch to the common language that both know.
That's it.
My dad would know a few Polish words because his dad was a bit of Polish, but majority they couldn't speak Polish. So their parents would swap into Russian and kind of speak broken because obviously they don't want to.
It'd be an interesting combination of a collective of languages.
So we had all the Polish coming in 2000 in focus room. They went into Euro, but still, even though they came and I spoke with them, I wasn't with them because I integrated here in society with the blacks, the Turks, and other nationalities with them. I wasn't with the Poles.
Yes,
I respected them. I was happy that they're here and they're Eastern European, but I wasn't fully integrated with them.
I see.
You know, I wanted my own. You wanted that identity because when I was growing up, I didn't even know if I was Ukrainian.
That's an interesting, almost kind of that identity.
It's like that. I was. How can I say? I was battling inside.
Yes.
Who am I?
Who?
And that's the thing. When you don't know who you are, it's hard for you to progress in life.
And
because how can you help someone else if you can't help yourself? You don't even know who you are first.
And that's interesting. Just touching on that history point you mentioned earlier, if you kind of look back to what your grandparents did or what your parents did, or even, but if you don't really know that or as clearly, or if you move with very little items, it's interesting.
You know, I'm going to touch as well. You know, when you're still developing as a kid back home, and then your family just takes, we got these plants here.
Yes.
They're still growing. Imagine taking this plant, ripping it away, and then placing it somewhere else. It could grow, but it may not grow to its full potential. Or it could grow in a wrong environment, again, full no potential. It may die. It could be different reasons. You know, a plant is also, they say that plants are, they have feelings as well, like us. Obviously, maybe different feelings towards it. But it's the same as me. It's like my parents kind of grabbed me. Yes, they were seeking a better life overseas. And yes, they have given me this. And thank goodness UK has given us the opportunity to give us. But at the same time, I feel like because you just grab and take me and then took me somewhere else, it's also a wrong thing as well. Just now, as we know, obviously the war's going on.
I think we'll touch on that. Where we are at the moment, childhood, do you want to just touch on between when you're 17, like before, what you were doing between there and 2022, and then we'll jump into the network QA stuff.
Sure.
Okay, so it's interesting. So we've heard a little bit about the schooling and kind of things like that, and then kind of 16 you became a handyman. Sort of, what's the sort of gap between what were you sort of doing between that age and kind of like 2022?
So briefly, 18, I started working for a company called...
what were you doing for the company?
We were doing furniture moving.
Okay.
But we used to work in schools. So when a new school was built, we would set up classrooms. Loved it. Loved the job. Paid really well, but it was 2008, and that's when the financial strike happened.
Okay. So people probably weren't moving homes or buying furniture.
Yeah, lots of people lost their jobs. I was making good money.
Yeah.
And then my mom said to me, "Hey, you need to go back to go to college, study
really?
something."
Yes.
Because I wanted to go to uni. I wanted to study drama, and I wanted to go to acting schools. But I realized my teacher said majority actors, 99, employment is hard. They do other jobs. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather.
You'd rather earn the money.
Earn the money. But
yes.
I thought to myself, and then the teacher said to me, why didn't you go into stage management? So you go behind the scene, because that's where you're more employable.
Yes.
But I've always wanted to be part of the, the stage.
Almost be on the stage or be part of that.
So I wish I listened to myself. I didn't at that time. So I listened to my parents and I listened to their values. And I think this is very key. So whoever's going to be listening to this podcast and then, values are very, very important. Do not listen to someone else's values. Go with the values, and then what happens is that in the future you will regret because you didn't take the step to do.
Yes.
I had two problems with myself. I guess it's because my childhood, but I don't know. Two things is that I never believed in myself, and two, the people around me never believed in myself. So if I believed in myself, I'm sure I could convince them to believe in me.
Yes.
It didn't work out. So anyways, I followed my parents' footsteps. I went to college. I studied construction, level 1, and then I went to level 2 construction. I had to choose which construction I wanted to do, electrical, plumbing, and so forth. I went into welding. I loved welding. I qualified, I went into apprenticeship. I went to a company called GCL,
Yeah.
Ground Construction Limited. I worked for them for a couple of years. My whole family worked there. Worked as a welder. Started with £9.50, grew to £10.50, and the highest I was earning about £22 an hour.
Oh, that's not bad.
But it's hard work. It was really, really difficult work. Working with metal, I used to wake up I used to work Monday to Saturdays, but majority Monday to Fridays, 6 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. Very hard work. Metal is very difficult. Summertime, you'll be boiling in all these protection.
Yes.
Winter is cold, but because you got the protection, is helping you go. Eventually, I got let go from the thing. At the age of 22, I became an alcoholic because the guys I used to work with, Eastern Europeans, there was Lithuanians. None of them spoke English, but I became a supervisor for them, even though I couldn't read certain maps and so forth.
Yes.
At the age of 22, I became an alcoholic. I went to a therapist in Bond Street. She hypnotized me. She saw something that happened to me when I was in the childhood. And she said, you're using that as an excuse on Fridays and Saturdays to drink.
Yes.
I recommend you to go to AA. I went to AA. I thought my story was worse until I heard other people's stories. I saw that community of supports. And at that time, I started dating. Obviously, I've dated before, but I've dated my wife at that time. And she confronted me one time. She said, where are you going every Tuesdays and Thursdays? She thought I was cheating with other women.
Yes.
And for the first week, it was very difficult for me to say. And then I just confessed. I said, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go to AA because I'm suffering with alcoholism.
Yes.
And her eyes open up like, puss in the butts. When the thing looks, she's like, wow, he told me the truth. Why didn't he tell me this before? And that's the thing for a lot of men out there as well, is that tell your woman the truth. But sometimes for a woman, you need to understand that we are men, we have pride as well. We don't want to just...
There's that, sense of, yes.
Pride,
yes,
we don't want to thing. Anyways, I recovered in 2017. 2018, I married my wife. My wife is Vietnamese, by the way.
Yes.
I like interracial marriage. I like other nationalities. I guess it's because of my integration and living here in Tottenham. I've always lived in North London.
Yes.
Where there's a lot of multinationals and so forth. When I used to go to Ukraine, one of the things I've always asked myself, how comes I'm going to Ukraine, but I see white people? I don't see no other nationalities. I want to see other nationalities. And this is why I love London. London will always pull me back.
Yes.
And then...
That's it. Okay, kind of fast forward.
And I'll fast forward to 2022. So announcement happened, the war started.
Let's slow this bit down. Okay, so it's like February 2022.
I didn't do anything.
You were just working away.
I was working away. I just found out the news
on the 24th of February.
The only thing I did, majority, like a lot of Ukrainians did that, I would come home and just watch a lot of news.
Oh, so like prior to like the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd?
Didn't do anything. My mom used to call back home to make sure everything's all right.
Did you feel like something might be happening, or that something was...
We were in UK. Remember when they were talking about the news that we think that Russia might attack a thing, and I knew that they will attack. I knew it because Russians are always talking about NATO expansion and talking about not just NATO expansion. I think it's also democracy ideology. They don't want the West to dominate the world. I think it's time. They're thinking it's time for them to stop, let the West stop dominating the world instead of, how can I say, in a way, stop pointing your fingers in other people's mouths when you got problems in your thing. In a way, there is right in those comments as well, but there's also, I don't agree with it. Well, just leave politics how it is. But I knew Russia will attack Ukraine.
Okay.
Regarding Crimea, it was common sense.
I understand. So the 24th of February, the invasion happened, and you hear about it on the news. Being kind of, although you Anglo-Ukrainian, you've got the Ukrainian heritage. How did that kind of make you feel? Did you still have kind of a connection to family out there? Were you worried?
95% of my family live in the west side of Ukraine.
Okay.
So I'd say they wouldn't feel much of the impact of the war when you live east or the central of Ukraine.
Yes.
I remember my mom used to call back home. They said, yeah, we're okay and there's nothing wrong, blah, blah, blah. We're fine. We're staying how we are. We're not living. They had a lot of livestock, so they're not leaving a lot of land.
Okay, yes, you don't need to go to the shops to buy food or something. Fairly self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient, yeah. And what did I do? I didn't do anything.
Did you think you should do something? Did you?
Yeah,
what's that? Because it's kind of interesting to get that. I'd say that might that almost kind of that understanding of what it must feel. I remember when I heard the news, and you saw people signing up, people going to the Ukrainian embassy in London and signing up to go to Ukraine. It was quite it almost kind of immediately. I say affected, or immediately people knew about it, or people were aware of it, or people wanted to offer some, or people felt compelled to do something, but maybe they didn't know what to do. If that makes sense.
I remember that, like you said, the Sky, when the two guys went into the embassy, said, "Hey, we're volunteering. We want to go to war." I remember that bit.
Yes.
Because I didn't do anything, but what I did give money.
Okay.
I would say that is one of the laziest things that you can do, is to give money.
Okay.
Volunteering is a different effort. You know, Martin, I will give you an example. You can buy you can give your wife, your girlfriend money. Or you can do the other way thing, is actually go to the shop, remember what she told you all these nights, buy the little teddy bear, the color that she wants as well.
Yes.
And then give it to her as a present. She will appreciate the present more than she will actually appreciate the money that you give her. No matter how much money you give her, even if you give her double the amount, she will appreciate you more. And it's the
money
same
is
as
money, yes.
And it's the same as friends as well. Not just girlfriends and boyfriends. It's the same as friends as well. If you give a friend a gift that he told you on Christmas Eve when he was drunk or half drunk, whatever the case is, he will say, "Wow, Martin really remembered that," and that means you cared.
Yes.
You showed curiosity. And that means a lot to a human being.
Okay.
So I thought to myself, let me give £500. I'm done with, my
that's
duty
it.
is done.
You've done it.
I'm done.
And then you thought that was your involvement.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done. But I would come home sad, still watching the news, and my wife said to me, "Babe, you're coming home. You're sad. You're watching the news. You're not giving me time. I think it's time for you to do something. Why don't you volunteer?"
Yeah. Yes.
So what did I do? Because I've been integrating into society, I don't speak with Ukrainians as much. I went on Google and I wrote, where are the Ukrainian centers? Where do you get donations? Where do they fit? So I found two. I found White Eagle, southwest of London. And the reason why I didn't want to go to them is that because they were, by the Polish people had it. But they were helping Ukrainians. And I said to myself, I don't really want to go there. I'd rather go somewhere where there's purely Ukrainians, maybe.
Yes, Ukraine, yes.
So it happened very accidentally. I don't know if you remember where after COVID, WhatsApp announced that they're now going to be checking your messages. There's encryption going on. And there's an app that just came out, Telegram.
Okay.
So I had Telegram and I downloaded it, and I realized a lot of Eastern Europeans use Telegram. So I went on Telegram and I just wrote keywords. I wrote Ukrainians in London.
Yes.
And Ukrainian letters came up saying Ukrainians in London. So I joined the group and I just watching what people were writing. And people were writing all sort of things, jobs, this,
people
housing,
were looking, or people just asking questions.
There was people throwing, and then I saw a comment. There was even people writing scams as well. I was like, wow, that quickly? Only two months into the 2 months into the war. I think. Anyways, my wife goes, "Hey, you need to do something." Anyway, so I found an organization called Support Ukraine, which is one of the biggest organizations here. They do a lot of meetings here and so forth. And I see what they were doing, and I said, I like to go to a meeting one day. So anyways, I remember sitting on the stairs, and I looked up and I said, "God, give me a sign. Give me something that I can do, something meaningful in my life."
Yes, something, yes.
So I got the courage and I said to myself, okay, let me write a comment on a Facebook group. And there was a Facebook group called Ukrainians in London in Ukrainian. At that time, there was only 14,000. Now it's 64,000.
Okay, but 14,000 is still a lot of people.
Yeah, so I wrote in English and I went to Google Translate. I copied it, pasted it, pasted it into...
Oh, you pasted it into Ukrainian. Okay.
I couldn't write in Ukrainian.
Oh, you couldn't write in Ukrainian?
No. And I expected 20 people to get back to me.
Yes, one
Max.
person, 20 people.
I said, 20 people, I'll help jobs, and that's it. Nothing. I'm going to go back to my work. That day I posted, I got 169 messages back from women.
Okay.
One another thing as well, because I wanted to learn Ukrainian language even better.
Yes.
I listened, I read every single message. So 169 messages, it took me almost the whole day. I would copy, paste on Google Translate, read it in English.
And what did you post? Hey, my name is Olex.
So, hi, my name is Oleksua Kozak. I've been living in UK for 24 years. I immigrated in 98. I was 7 years old. Now I'm 24. Now I'm 31 years old. I'm married. I live in UK, London. I'm happy to help. Please contact me on this number or go on my social media, which was Facebook. Man, people started messaging me. Some people were calling me. Some people were giving me. These Ukrainians were smart. They were sending me messages on. Once they got your mobile phone number and they save on the phone. Once you save someone's number on the phone, you can see on the information page where that number has also got Telegram. It's got Viber. It's got WhatsApp. Oh, he's on these 4 platforms. Which one do I use the most? Oh, I use Telegram more. Let me text him on Telegram. As people started sending me telegrams, I was like, wow, this platform is very good. I like it. It's got stickers, it's got emojis, and they're very...
Because a lot of English people I've never heard of Telegram before I went to Ukraine, if I'm honest.
I tell you, the best platform out there. I don't even like WhatsApp. It's the best. I thought WhatsApp was great, but Telegram is the best, man. Channels, groups, groups up to 100,000 people, channels unlimited, unbelievable.
Okay.
Anyways, people send me messages, and what I noticed that they were sending me messages, they were asking for 4 things: work, housing, English language, and legal.
Okay.
And I said to myself, okay, these are the 4 things I've got problems with.
Work, language,
accommodation,
and
legal. I said to myself, wow. So in reality, I was thinking to myself, UK government weren't prepared for this influx of people. UK and Europe thought Russia would overtake them maximum a month, and then Ukrainians can go back. But I realized that UK government they didn't have this strategy. There's a lot of they couldn't take the pressure on. So there's other people need to get up and help.
That's it. So you thought you'd get up and help?
Yeah. So I thought to myself, I said no, because I was still doubting myself. I said to myself, how can I help people? I see a lot of Ukrainians doing, the transport, raising money, buying all these pickup trucks and life jackets back then. I think, no. I said, I can't do what they have. I don't know the logistics and so forth. What am I good at? And I remember my dad saying, we wish me and my mom had a blogger, vlogger, some sort of person that gave us the information. Because my dad said, before he became religious, he said, I never liked going to churches. Because his parents used to be communist, they never taught nothing about God and stuff like that. He said, I don't want to go to churches to meet people, and they got the Christ. Anyways, I was listening to every woman. I made 4 Telegram groups, 4 specific. I took the links and I posted it on my social media and all the other groups.
Yes.
People started flooding.
Like the 4 the 4 links to.
For the Telegram.
For the Telegram, your channel.
Different groups, yeah.
Yes.
Because what I saw also on Telegrams and other WhatsApp, I saw people didn't care. People would create a group, put massive thousands of people inside there.
Yes.
As you write a comment, boom, it flies up, and that's it. You won't catch it because it just flew up because people are writing messages.
Okay.
So I said, everything in one doesn't look organized. Why don't I make 4 but all separate ones?
Yes.
This is for jobs. So I remember when people used to go to job group, they will post housing. I said, unfortunately, you can't post it here. Post it on this group.
This one.
And I needed admins to look after this because I knew it would grow eventually.
Yes.
I said to myself, man, I need to find admins. Where am I going to find admins? And I wrote another announcement on social media, and I had 4 like myself, Anglo-Ukrainians. I didn't call myself Anglo-Ukrainian then. They responded and they said, hey, we've come here 7 years old, 8 years old. Now we're this. I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of Ukrainians like myself
that you didn't know of.
That I didn't know of.
I think it's quite easy almost to presume that all Ukrainians know Ukrainians, probably in the same way all English people know English people.
No.
All English people know the king or something.
No.
Okay.
And for me, it was such a joy thinking, wow. So you, Alex, also came to UK at the age of 11. Now you've been living there for such a long time. Oh, Anna, you came here when you were 4 years old, but they were living far. Alex was living in South London. Anna was living all the way in Cambridge.
Yes.
But they responded back and they gave me their numbers, contact. They said, we're happy to help you.
Yeah, let's meet up, coffee or something. Yes.
I was like, wonderful. Like, give me your social media, give me your number. So I kept in contact with them. I said, could you be my admins in my group? They said, yeah, fine. It got to the point where it was so much pressure, 200 people. They were flooding 200 people. Every day, people would just be flooding. And I said to myself, man, this is going out. Eventually, I think my admins are going to burn out.
Yes.
What do I do? So I go to my friend Serge and I said, Serge, help me. And Serge said, I can't do what you do, but let me create a website.
Okay.
So he disappears for 2 weeks. I take a camera and I started blogging.
Okay.
I started recording London.
Yes.
What's London? How big London, the transport system, the buses, this and so. I posted on Instagram, TikTok, and it starts flying. I was like, wow, this. And I was doing it in broken Ukrainian language.
Yes.
If I didn't know Ukrainian, I put English in it. And I said to myself, the reason why I did that is that they're in UK, they need to learn English.
They can learn.
Yeah, they can learn. Anyways, I started growing really rapidly on social media. And then after that, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to find 4 specialists for housing, legal, for English language, and also for work. I want to find Ukrainians like myself that have been here for a long time. They've established something in here. Ask them to be on my platform as admins. What they will have is that they will have the public. I can get a small little percentage of them as long as Ukrainians can buy some their services. Obviously, at the first beginning 6 months, no Ukrainian would buy any services because they were finding themselves here, which was perfectly fine. But I carried on blogging. I did interviews with Ukrainians here, and I started growing.
So you almost sort of started a podcast where you were interviewing.
And I didn't do the podcast yet. Podcast started for me last year, May started, but I was doing a lot of blogging, vlogging at the same time, a lot of interviews. I wanted to interview Ukrainians that have been here for a long time. So I said, how do I do that? So that's when the Ukrainian diasporas reached out to me because they saw me on social media and my population was growing, and they invited me to the thing. And I realized to myself, these diasporas know Ukrainians that have been here for living for a long time. And I've asked them, I went to them, what problem do you have? And they said, no one really knows about us. We'd like more people to come to a thing. I said, let's do an exchange. I'll do a little interview with you. I'm happy to share your information, but you give me certain contacts that I need.
Yes.
That's why we start bartering. And then I went on Facebook. I looked at other communities, and I started traveling all around UK. I've been to Sunderland, Hull, went to them places. I've been to Milton Keynes, Reading. I've been to Bournemouth, Sunderland, all these little communities. And people got to know me, and I got the contacts. And then Serge come back to me and say, hey, the site is finished.
Okay.
And as we are building it, we find out that we're building a lot of community and a lot of database of numbers and contacts with different professions. And we noticed that a lot of Ukrainians are looking for other professionals as well.
Yes.
But they want things to find it easier. And that's when me and Serge we realized that we're opening let's open a portal.
Yes.
Put everything onto one.
Yes.
It makes it easier, not just for the Ukrainians to find the relative information that they need, but because we live in UK, for English, British, and other nationalities, if they ever want to do business with Ukrainians, study, marry, whatever the case is, they're going to one platform. They don't just find things in Ukrainian language, but they also find it in their own language, which is in English language. Our platform is called NetWhereYouAre at the moment. .com. It's also available on an app at the moment as well. It's in 3 languages: English, Ukrainian, and Polish.
Yep.
Polish is the reason why there's a lot of vice versa. They can speak language. I've got a bit of Polish blood in myself, and also just to thank the Polish people, how much help they're helping Ukrainians. This is the reasons why we've made it in Polish language.
I love that. So that's incredible. So in a very short period of time, we've heard the incredible journey of kind of how you came across to, you were born in Ukraine, came across to England at 7, and kind of that battle of sort of feeling to be integrated into English culture and UK. And then at the age of 9 you moved to Tottenham, led on to a whole
Yeah.
host of other experiences, to going to school, becoming a handyman,
Yeah.
but always had a passion of sort of drama. So it's interesting. Oh, it's interesting hearing kind of how that's all
Evolved.
all evolved, and now you are the man of Network UA.
Yeah, huge database. Got massive database. Not a lot of information now. Probably, I would say, apart from the Ukrainian embassy and maybe 2 other organizations, we are the biggest here for the Ukrainians here in UK.
That's brilliant.
Massive database. We know a lot of people. We know a lot of organizations, and we're always looking for information. We have journalists working with us. Obviously, now, as you know, Martin, I'm also got my own podcast where I invite Ukrainians from all different sort of industries. Got open season 2 specifically for English speakers as well.
Yeah.
The reason why is because I think a lot of British and English have done so much things for Ukraine, all these different charities, and so I want them to say, give them a voice to say what's it like for them to work with Ukrainians, what did they do, humanitarian aid in Ukraine, what do you think about just in general thing, because they do also have a voice, and I think it's very important for them to talk about it as well. I want them to feel appreciated as well, and I want Ukrainians to understand that UK is a beautiful country to live. There's loads of wonderful things as well, but at the same time,
It's not easy.
it's not easy.
I love that. I thought we've run out of time, but Oleksandra, thank you so much for coming on for today.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome.